Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Pregame from the Pond, Madison Mallard Pregame Show. Derek Brizendine alongside Alec Dopp. And Alec, the win we've been needing last night.
Yep, it happened, Derek. You just mentioned, key win for these guys after a tough loss to open up the season, the second half of the season. They really put it all together last night. A little bit of pitching, a lot of key hits from some guys who we'll mention coming up here. But it was a much-needed win to start the second half for sure.
And Dalton Despain was out on the bump last night. Kind of a rough start for him. I wouldn't say it was all bad. It was pretty good, but, a little rough start. But what saved him was those bats.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it wasn't Dalton's best start of the year. And he's struggled with consistency issues at times. He's got really great stuff, and Donnie's always talked about how that's going to be a key thing for the rotation this season. But a rough start for him. He struggled to command the strike zone a little bit last night. But, the offense really picked him up, as you mentioned, Derek, and key hits from Tony Butler, who actually won Northwoods League Player of the Night last night, which is really high honors for him. He had 4 runs batted in and a double down the right field line, which was really key early in the game. And he's really putting it together at the plate recently. He's batting about .450 over his last 7 games, and what else can you ask for a guy from that?
And he had an excellent play out in the field. He was going across his body and was still able to get it over to Roe Coleman at second. And, Tony's really just playing a great game right now. Kind of putting it all together, very sound and fundamental.
Yeah, it kind of goes to show that play last night was incredible. Donnie Scott was raving about that play after the game, saying that was actually a key moment in the game to kind of sway the momentum in the Mallards' favor last night. And, you really see why he had a commitment to the University of Virginia a couple of years ago before transferring to Madison College. He's got the glove. He has potential with the bat, and I think we're seeing that right now in the last few games or so. And he's just, he's a leader out there for one as a returner, too, and that's really, really something that's valuable for this Mallards club.
And another bat I think we want to highlight, you just mentioned Virginia, Charlie Cody.
Yeah, Charlie Cody. He had a rough night at third base on Wednesday night against Kalamazoo, a couple errors. But the bat has really made up for his lack of fielding experience at third base. He's 4 for 7 right now, with a couple walks and just 1 strikeout over his first 2 games. And to have only 1 strikeout he's a freshman. Just coming off a freshman year where he didn't really play with the Cavaliers at Virginia, and that really says a lot about him and what he can bring to this team. He's going to be a valuable asset moving forward.
And that says a lot about him. To have a rough night at the plate, a lot of guys might hang their head and just, kind of throw in the towel and be like, oh, well, it's just going to be one of those summers. But for him to come out and really strive and do well with that bat, that says a lot about him as a ball player.
Oh, definitely. He's got a lot of potential, and I think, talking to some of the Mallards coaches, especially even Pete Larson, who's the pitching coach for the Mallards, yesterday he says he has a great read on his swing, and he thinks it's really it's a great swing, and we're starting to see that for sure here early.
Bats were great last night, but another strong point last night was that bullpen. That bullpen came in, and Despain let up 4 runs. That bullpen then shut down and said, all right, we got you, Dalton.
It's been, honestly, it's been one of the biggest strengths for the Mallards, if not the biggest strength this season, is the bullpen. We've always mentioned Mike Kalen and his scoreless streak that actually just recently ended. But, guys like Scott Moss. But last night, we didn't see either of those guys. And, Logan Browning coming on in relief, scoreless. He was sitting in the low 90s from the left side of the mound. He's only 5'7". He's only going to grow a little bit more as a freshman with Florida. He's going to be valuable for that bullpen moving forward for sure. And then Vince Arobio, who obviously a flamethrower in his own right from Pacific. He came on for the save in 1.1 innings of scoreless relief, and he's really been a valuable asset for the bullpen too.
And during the game last night, you and I were talking about Logan Browning and just how valuable that is to have a guy that can not only play the field, swing a real good bat, but also has a flamethrower for an arm and comes out and shuts him down. Real versatile player.
Definitely, and that's anytime you can get versatility in the Northwoods League or anywhere really, it's definitely something that will help your ball club. And I mean, for him to be a left-handed pitcher, especially, it gives Donnie that that willingness to be able to kind of configure everything according to how a matchup, like a platoon matchup, might work in lefty on lefty matchups. But he's Logan Browning. He's had a couple outings already, and he's looked effective against right-handed hitters too. And I mean, he's pounding the strike zone, and that's always key for this pitching staff. And I think you mentioned the versatility with the glove in center field. He's got great reads on the ball there and good speed. It's going to be interesting to see how much he can contribute to the team.
And the other guy you mentioned there was Vince Robio. Vince, this summer, he's kind of struggled with his command, walking a few guys, and started out hot, kind of slid there for a couple games, but now he's becoming a force to be reckoned with. I mean, just out there on the mound, think you said it best. He's built to be that closer role.
Definitely. He's got that mid 90s fastball they always look for, and he's got a sharp curveball that has a lot of potential, and I think that's been the biggest sticking point of improvement for him is that curveball. Last night we saw a really good one from him last night, and it was one of the big reasons he got at least one looking strikeout last night. That was key for him. He had kind of a rough year with a rough spring with Pacific out of their bullpen, but I mean, there's no question he has ability.
I mean, the fact that he's able to come back and lock back in, just like we were talking about Charlie Cody, and we were also earlier talking about Kelvin Herrera for the Royals. Earlier on in his career, struggled to get that command down. Couldn't really find the strike zone, but then locked down. Now he's dominant, and I think Vince is kind of the same way. Struggle a little, and then really locks himself in, focuses, and becomes absolutely dominant out there. And that's just this Mallards team in general. There's no quit in these guys.
Yeah, baseball is a game of failure. You're going to fail. It's the fact of the matter. And, your willingness and ability to kind of cope with that and, learn and be willing to, coach yourself, self-evaluation. And I think Vince is really, really good with that. I mean, he's a very cerebral player and pitcher on the mound. He knows what he wants to do out there. He's not just going out there and throwing those fastballs wherever he wants. But I mean, you said it right there. Just being able to, mentally just improve.
And tonight, need a big win here against the Woodchucks, Wisconsin here, and we have AJ Bogucki on the mound. What's going to be key for him to be successful tonight?
For AJ, he's definitely a big league prospect, and I think having that good stuff, the fastball, the curveball, and a little bit of a changeup is gonna it's gonna be a good combination to keep these Northwoods League hitters off balance. He had kind of a rough go at it against Kenosha his last time out. He had the losing decision in that June 25th game, but he's responded well after a rough start on several occasions this year, and just Donnie told me I sound like a recorder, but the key for our pitchers is pounding the strike zone, and to be honest, that's probably the biggest key for him tonight.
Well, great thing is it's a new day for AJ. It's a new day for everybody. We're ready to go here. Enjoy the game. We'll see you back here next week.